Extreme hard times are coming, total collapse of society. Are you worried about the state of the economy? Brace yourself for what's to come, because extreme hard times are coming, and they're going to hit us right where it hurts, our wallets. The economy will collapse when society collapses, and we'll be left to deal with the fallout. But don't worry, because in this video, we're going to show you how to protect yourself and your assets. Before we move any further, first, let's understand the basics. Economic collapse is a period of national or regional economic breakdown in which the economy is in difficulty for an extended length of time, which can range from a few years to many decades. At times of economic difficulty, a country's social turmoil, social unrest, bankruptcies, lower trade volumes, currency volatility, and collapse of law and order are all common. Because of the severity of the economic suffering, government measures for economic recovery can be delayed to bring the economy back on track, causing even more disarray. Based on fresh empirical data, a stunning new study by the director at one of the world's largest accounting companies has discovered that a renowned, decades-old warning from MIT about the likelihood of industrial civilization collapsing appears to be accurate. As the globe awaits a recovery and economic development following the destruction caused by the pandemic, the research raises serious concerns about the risks of merely returning to pre-pandemic normal. In 1972, a group of MIT experts convened to investigate the dangers of civilizational collapse. Their Club of Rome published system dynamics model highlighted looming limits to growth, implying that industrial society was on track to collapse sometime in the 21st century owing to the overexploitation of planetary resources. The contentious MIT study sparked considerable debate and was widely mocked at the time by pundits who distorted its findings and methods. But research written by a senior director of professional services major KPMG, one of the big four accounting companies in terms of global sales, has provided astonishing validation to the analysis. Growth constraints. In November 2020, the report was published in the Yale Journal of Industrial Environment and is available on the KPMG website. It concludes that global civilization's existing business-as-usual trajectory is heading toward the terminal decline of economic development within the next decade, and at worst, societal collapse by 2040. The study is the first time a leading analyst from a major worldwide corporation has taken the limits to growth paradigm seriously. Gaia Harrington, the author, is the Sustainability and Dynamic System Analysis lead at KPMG in the United States. But she chose to do the research as a personal project to see how well the MIT model held up over time. The study is not linked with or done on behalf of KPMG, and it does not necessarily reflect KPMG's opinions. Harrington conducted the research as part of her master's thesis at Harvard University while serving as an advisor to the Club of Rome. Yet she is mentioned on the KPMG website discussing her initiative as follows. With the unattractive threat of collapse, I was intrigued to discover which scenarios were most closely aligned with empirical evidence today. After all, the book that presented this global model was a bestseller in the 1970s, and we'd have several decades of empirical evidence to compare. It's not the first time this has happened, but it's the first time it's happened in a long time. So I made the decision to do it myself. The study, titled Update to Limits to Growth, Comparing the World 3 Model with Empirical Data, aims to analyze how MIT's World 3 model compares to new empirical evidence. Past research has revealed that the model's worst-case scenarios accurately reflect real-world developments. However, the most recent study of this kind was done in 2014. Danger of collapse? Harrington's new study looks at 10 major variables: population, fertility rates, mortality rates, industrial output, food production, services, non-renewable resources, persistent pollution, human welfare, and ecological footprint. She discovered that the most recent data is most closely aligned with two specific scenarios: BAU2, or business as usual, and CT, or comprehensive technology. BAU2 and CT scenarios show that growth will come to a halt within a decade or so, the report concluded. Both options consequently indicate that maintaining business as normal, that is, chasing continued expansion, is not conceivable. Even with exceptional technology advancement and adoption, LTG's concept of business as usual would ultimately lead to decreases in industrial capital, agricultural output, and welfare levels within this century. According to study author Gaia Harrington, collapse does not indicate that mankind will cease to exist in the MIT World 3 models, but rather that economic and industrial growth will stop and then fall, affecting food production and living conditions. In terms of timing, the BAU2 scenario predicts a rapid fall around 2040. End of growth? Under the comprehensive technology scenario, the economic decline continues around this period with a variety of severe repercussions, but societal collapse does not occur. Unfortunately, the most optimistic pathway, known as SW, or Stabilized World, in which civilization follows a sustainable path and experiences the smallest declines in economic growth, based on a combination of technological innovation and widespread investment in public health and education, is also the least close fit to the most recent empirical data. Although both the business as usual and comprehensive technology scenarios predict that economic growth will end in about 10 years, only the BAU2 scenario shows a clear collapse pattern, whereas CT suggests the possibility of future declines being relatively soft landings, at least for humanity in general. The term could refers to the process of determining whether or not a product is suitable for use in a particular situation. The hope. The study finds that focusing on the pursuit of continued economic growth for its own sake will be futile. However, technological advancement and increased investments in public services could not only prevent the risk of collapse, but also lead to a new stable and prosperous civilization that operates safely within the boundaries of the planet. Yet the next 10 years are essentially our only chance to make a course correction. The findings of the analysis come to the conclusion that at this time, therefore, the evidence largely corresponds with the CT and BAU2 scenarios, which suggest a slowdown and eventual halt in growth within the next decade or so. But World 3 leaves open whether the subsequent decline will constitute a collapse. Even though the stable world scenario tracks least closely, it is still possible for there to be an intentional trajectory adjustment brought about by society shifting its focus to anything other than progress. The work of LTG gives the impression that this opportunity will be gone before we know it. Harrington advocated for growth, which is an agnostic approach to growth that focuses on other economic goals and priorities, in a presentation that she gave at the World Economic Forum in 2020 in her capacity as a director at KPMG. She delivered this presentation. She stated that altering the priorities of our society necessarily does not need to be a submission to gloomy necessity. The activities of humans have the potential to be restorative, and the productive capacities of our species are amenable to change. In point of fact, we are witnessing instances of that taking place right now. Their initiatives, if expanded right now, produce a world that's not only rich of opportunities, but also sustainable. She made the point that the rapid creation and deployment of vaccinations at record rates as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic indicates that we are capable of responding quickly and constructively to global crises if we choose to act. We need exactly such a committed approach to the environmental challenge. According to Harrington, the essential changes will not be easy and will offer obstacles during the transition, but a sustainable and inclusive future is still feasible. According to the most credible information now available, the decisions that we make over the next decade will likely have a significant impact on the future of human civilization. Harrington cited a fast rise in environmental, social, and good governance priorities as a foundation for hope, despite the fact that the odds are extremely stacked against them. This rapid rise in priorities indicates a shift in thinking that is taking place in both governments and enterprises. She explained that the potentially most significant result of her research is that it's not too late to construct a truly sustainable civilization that works for all people. She said this is arguably the most important implication of her research. Thank you for watching. We know that the topics we discuss in this video are not easy to hear, but it's important that we face the truth and prepare for what's to come. The collapse of society is not a matter of if, but when, and we need to be ready for it. Remember, you're not alone in this. We can come together as a community and support each other through these difficult times. So let's get ready, let's stay strong, and let's face the future with determination and resilience.